Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber Westbrook and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut my hair. I decided that these split ends were not cool. I can't handle these. They're just kind of gross, and when they dry, air dry, and I don't give them an actual blowout, like you can totally see the damage on the end of my split ends. And just because I bleach my hair doesn't mean that it has to look bad. So we're going to pretend like my hair is not damaged, and we're going to cut off all of the split ends and we're going to give it a trim. Jennifer Aniston had a haircut back in the day that everyone called the Rachel, and it was this big 90s thing, and since the 90s is back, I was like, why not? I'm gonna cut some long layers and frame my face, and even though I only have one side of hair, I'm going to make it work for this side and show you how I do it, which the way I do it is pretty much you just copy it onto the other side, and there you go, you have a full haircut. So you can still follow this even if you don't have a side shave, and if you do, here's one of the rare videos on YouTube where I actually cut the long sides. So if you're interested in finding out how I do this next, then keep on watching. So I'm just going to take this clip. I'm going to start in the back actually, and I'm going to just kind of take this back portion. And my hair is just, this is all there is. So I'm just going to do like back versus front, but if you were actually working from the back, you could do it in more than two sections. You can do like one chunk that's right here and then another chunk right here. But the trick is to take a vertical section. So I'm just gonna take like this much, and I'm just gonna clip this forward for now because I'm not going to work on these front pieces quite yet. Lovely, I know. And I'm gonna kind of brush it upwards, which you can do this with a comb too, if you feel more comfortable with a comb. But as I brush it upwards, I'm going to make sure that all of the pieces are still in that vertical column, so I'm just going to make it go all the way up, and this way I can get some layers in there. So as I go up to the top, wow, it's super long now. As I go to the top, you see that it's all kind of mismatched lengths up here, and that just means that the top layers, as these go up and I cut them here, it's going to go down to here and be short, but as these layers, I cut them up here, it's going to go down and it's going to be down here as I cut. So like, as I cut, I'm going to be creating the layers as I go. So what I'm going to do is called a point cut, and I'm actually just going to be cutting all of these off, but I'm going to be cutting them in like this. And don't mind my scissors, I don't have my hair cutting scissors because I literally just moved, and couldn't find my real scissors. Make sure you don't cut your hand as you're doing this. And I'm cutting mine dry. You can cut it wet if you'd like. But as you can see, now I have these layers that are really nice and short, and these layers that are much longer. And so what I'm going to do now is just clean up the bottom. Cutting off all those dead ends. Sorry if you can hear my dogs playing in the background. And as you can see, I have some short layers right here, and it all kind of blends together. So you see, this is going to give it a lot more volume on the top because look at how short these layers are. This one goes down to just right here. And then these ones go all the way down. So now I'm going to work on the front, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm actually going to make sure that they're blended together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like the back piece and then the front piece, and then I'm going to take a chunk out of the center, and I'm going to kind of blend it together and make sure that the front is not longer than the back, because that's always really awkward. You don't want that. Or, you know, back longer than front. You just want like an even, especially if you're doing it where you're getting the chunk out of the back, you're going to want to make sure that all the way from the back to the front is all the same length. Now I want some long bangs that kind of go down to like right here, because like the Rachel look kind of has that like, that very signature face framing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the front piece like this. And I'm going to do the point cut right here. Take off some of that length. I'm gonna take a smaller chunk of just the front and we're gonna make it extreme. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it over this way, even more so this way, so that the front pieces are even shorter. I'm gonna take this top chunk of hair right here and I'm going to bring it over as well, kind of just do that same thing again. Honestly, with this kind of hairstyle, it's not an exact science. Just make sure that whatever you do on the one side that you remember, and if you have to write down the different steps that you go on so that you can get it even on the other side. I have a bit more freedom because I'm kind of just seeing where it takes me because I only have one side. So I'm a little bit luckier. And as you can see, this right here was from the front and this right here is from the back, and you can see in the center it wasn't quite as short. So I'm just gonna kind of blend those together so that they kind of don't look as drastic. That way, all of my layers on this side are all gonna be the same, and I don't have one big chunk in the middle that feels heavier, and that like I don't have like a weird, because when you want volume, the shorter pieces give you that volume. So when you want the shorter pieces, you don't want one center piece in the middle to be like heavier than the rest. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on my bangs a little bit more because I know how I kind of like them to be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the face framing section right now, and as you can see, I have these short pieces right here, and then it kind of drastically goes into these longer pieces. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of even those up right here, just around the front to like frame my face. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to straighten up this bottom line so that it's kind of more even, because you see I kind of gave it a bit of point cut and now it's like a little bit uneven. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clean that right up. Just so it's not, and I kind of have a little bit shorter in the back going to a little bit longer in the front on purpose. It's really subtle on mine, but on yours you just can cut it like straight so that it goes all the way around. And when you bring your back pieces forward, just make sure that you're measuring as you go so that your entire bottom length, the bottom layer, is all gonna be the same. Alright, I think I'm gonna go a little bit shorter on my layers even, actually, just so I have a little bit more volume on top when I want it to be really voluminous up here. The way to get more volume on top is to have the top layers be slightly shorter than the other layers, and that way they're like lighter, otherwise the hair drags them down and then they kind of become heavy. And I really like to have a lot of volume like right here, and so these pieces I want to have just slightly blended and shorter. So I'm gonna go in. So all I'm doing is the same steps as the beginning, and I'm kind of just doing them again, but I'm pulling them more over to the opposite side. And I'm making sure that the layers that I want short are on this side and the layers that I want longer on this side, and I'm kind of pulling the whole thing flat and bringing it all this way. As you can see, I'm not actually really taking off a lot of the length. You can see it's still almost the same length. I just took off a little bit of the length that was damaged because I don't want any of those split ends to start creeping up and getting those long hairs into being more damaged. So just trimming just a little bit off as I go along. And now I'm just kind of making sure that all of my layers from the front to the back are matched up and even, and getting rid of all of the little excess pieces that keep them from being blended together, I mean. So as you can see, my short pieces are about right here. And then I have some bang pieces that are framing my face. And I think I want a little bit more framing than I have right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this front chunk once again. and I'm gonna go in and make this a little bit more drastic. And as you can see, it kind of goes down and blends into this straight line, which I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the back, because I have a side shave and I do like this long section, I'm gonna have the back kind of blend down so I don't have such a blunt line on the bottom here. I'm gonna have it kind of taper down a little bit so that it comes down to a point. And this is totally just side shave stuff that I'm doing right now. Like, I don't recommend doing this if you have a full head of hair because it'll look really interesting. But I almost have the effect that I want. I want it to kind of come down so that like the back and the front kind of both taper down at the same time. And you can see my back layers are really short and nice, so let's get this done. My favorite test is when I always pull my hair back like this and I kind of let it fall. And you can usually see the different layers kind of creating that texture that goes through, which I really, really like. And there you go. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that looks really great. These top layers are nice and short. They're about this short. So now when I go to give it my blow dry, I can actually use my round brush, and when I section it out, and I use my round brush, it'll be really easy because look at how short those layers are. And I can do my top layers, and that'll give me so much volume when I go in to do my blow dry. Look at that. So short and nice, just right there. And that's gonna be amazing. And then if I wanna wear it forward, and I can just brush it back like that. And there you have it. They'll stay just like that. Now, if you guys want a full tutorial on how I do my blowouts and do all of the preparation when it's wet and after it's been conditioned, leave me a comment below. I'd be happy to upload that for you. With all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next video.